Okay. Got the microphone on. Yeah, it is New Year's Eve. And here we go. We are doing the initial diagnosis of the Harley-Davidson Sportster, and I do believe I am on the right track. I got a really good idea what this here little motorcycle's doing and not doing. So while some folks get up in the chat, let me do this as well. As you know, I like to go live on Facebook while I'm doing this with this old piece of crap phone that I just keep laying around. So when it warms up, boots up, and does what it needs to do, we'll go ahead and go live. All right. You gonna let me go live yet? All right, here we go. Probably ain't none of y'all in there yet anyway, huh? Hey, what's up? I got one of y'all in here. This phone is so slow, I only fire it up when I'm doing this stuff here. Oh, there we go. The crappy part is, if you're watching me via YouTube, you're going to have the better sound feed. Come on. Okay. Let's get you set up over here. I got to order a second microphone. Okay. All right, so here's the initial diagnosis of what I think's going on. I already started making a video. You guys didn't see that. Now, if you watched my lives before on this bike, we had the carburetor off. The previous owner brought me the carburetor. He had rebuilt it, and he said, just go through it because it's acting, make sure I did it right. The only thing I found was one screw was not quite snugged up on the diaphragm side. He mounted the carburetor back on the bike, and it would only run on choke. It wouldn't take fuel. Well, I told him, I think you might need an intake seal. And my initial diagnosis, I tried to kick her over. Nothing, right? Well, I looked a little closer, and I pulled the spark plugs, but I only pulled the rear one. And look at that. That is a crusty ass. Oh, get in the camera. That is a crusty ass spark plug, man. She's bad, okay? This was from the rear cylinder. You guys there see it? This was from the rear cylinder. Now, this was from the front cylinder. Interesting, ain't it? Now, I know this bike was run with a choke on for about 30 minutes. It was right cold outside when the dude did it. Now, if an intake seal was shot, you're not getting the amount of vacuum you need to get, and you're also drawing pure, fresh oxygen into that cylinder, making that cylinder run super lean, which would explain why there's no carbon buildup and it's burnt off compared to this one, which leads me down the road of thinking, yeah, we probably need to get in there and replace the intake seals. It is a common problem on these machines. It just happens. This bike is almost 30 years old, and I'm about going to guarantee that's what's up with it. So what we're going to do first, we're going to pull the air cleaner off. We know it's not running right. It's going to run lean with the air cleaner off. I'm okay with that because I want to watch the diaphragm go up and down as I try to give it fuel. I know it's got spark. I checked that off camera with the new plugs. Another interesting thing I should probably let you guys know is this bike calls for a 40 thousandths spark plug gap. Okay. These guys are at like 55. I could tell the gap was too big via my eyeballs, but I actually put a gauge on it. These guys are gapped out way too wide. I noticed the bike also has, Screaming Eagle spark plug wires. I haven't gotten that close to the coil. I don't know if that would be like a performance upgraded Screaming Eagle coil. As far as I know, it's a completely stock engine, so why would you bump up the coil? I think maybe somebody just threw those plug wires on there. I do not know. A performance coil, okay, I could see maybe wanting a bigger gap if you've got a killer coil throwing a super hot spark. Maybe that might make sense, but I don't think that's the case here. I think whoever worked on this boogered it up a little. And I know my buddy who owned this prior to me really didn't turn much on the way of wrenches on this bike. He more or less bought it, and well, his life is such that he just doesn't really have the time to enjoy it. And he mainly wanted to get her up and running good so that he could sell it. Well, that's how we ended up with it. I guess I probably should have laid some tools out for you guys, but you know, like we didn't, so it is what it is. Y'all will just deal with me hunting around for tools out my box, of which, you know, got the nice new roller box, but got this here machine in and decided to start investigating before anything else. And we never finished organizing the new toolbox. Okay. Set that out there. Give me a hit of this coffee. We got anybody up in there? We got 15 of you guys up in there. Right on. It's really cool. Thank you much. Look, do me a favor, man. If you're watching this shit, smash that like button. There's 15 of you. I don't see but 3 likes. Come on, man. Y'all letting me down. Hit that like button, will ya? I'm teaching you guys how to work on motorcycles. And at the same time, I love to listen to music when I work in a garage. And because I'm live on here, I can't listen to music because YouTube gets all bum hurt on me. Copyright bull crap, which I don't understand because, dude, y'all got paid once already when the music was on the radio. I don't listen to Pandora and none of that crap. I listen to 103.1 out of New Kensington. Out of Mount Pleasant, PA. That's the channel I like to listen to. So, like, you know what I'm saying? You got paid once by 103.1. And you're also making money on that crap too, man, because, hey, look, somebody's watching my stuff. Man, I remember that old Allman Brothers song. Man, that was a great album. I'm going to go buy that. You know what I'm saying? But they want to ding me. It's crazy. Crazy how they do things. But whatever. Back to the lecture at hand. Get the air cleaner up out of the way. What do I got here? XL. I have never seen an XL air cleaner, and it's not in great shape. We're going to change that out. This is a foam air cleaner. It can be cleaned out and reused, but as you see, it's not in the greatest shape, and well, there's a gap there. It's not really doing much of anything. Honest with you, if I decide to keep this bike, she'll probably get an S&S Super E carburetor because, well, I just like S&S Super E's. Do we have any accelerator pump? Well, we don't. Okay, well, let's go on ahead. Give her a little snort of something to start on. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, I better check the oil. Yeah, we're plumb full, and nope, does not smell like gas, so okay, we're good. We're just going to crank it right quick first. Let me grab some starting fluid and keep it handy. I just want to hear this thing putt over and make some noise. I completely trust my buddy. If he says it ran, it ran. Get the fuel turned on. Does this son of a gun? It does have a vacuum pet cock. God dang it, I hate those things. Fuel on. Do we even got gas? I ain't got no gas in it. Do we even got gas in the tank? Let's see. A wee little bit, not much. Better put her on reserve. All right. Like I said, I just want to hear this machine putt over a couple of times before I start the digging. So, ignition. We'll putt out the carb. Let's give her a snort. Tiny snort. That's way too much. That actually didn't sound half bad. All right. Give her a little choke. Let's give her another little snort. She's definitely not happy. Yep, you're right, my man. Well, I'll be damned, it runs. Interesting. You got a little mist of fuel coming back at you, which is somewhat normal, but not exactly. And I got no real squirt of fuel come out of the accelerator pump, of which I had that apart, and it looked pretty good to me. The idle mixture is most definitely off. That'd be that angry little backfire in your hearing. But we're firing on both cylinders. And it's not running on choke. You see, my buddy Ghost, his garage has no heat. So it's quite possible that was the That was the thing. Sporties are a cold-blooded motorcycle. I don't keep the heat cranked in here. What's up, Kenny Fraser? Billy Peak, what's up? Carmen 16Z, hey, what's going on? What's up, Mikey? This could be your bike, bro. This could be your bike. Very well could be your machine. Mikey is a childhood friend of mine. I have known him. Look, man, I went to school up here in South Allegheny, okay, and my first day of school, first grade, I went to kindergarten in a different place, but my first day of school in first grade, the first kid I met was this goofy little bugger with great big ears. And we are now 45 years old, and that guy is still one of my best friends. And I got to open the door and get some fresh air up in here for a little bit. We got to do something about that. We're going to die if we don't do that. Sucks because gas ain't free, but whatever. Let's get the other window open and get a cross flow. I think we're just going to need a carburetor tune. I think that's maybe all it takes to get this bike up and running right. We'll let it cool down. Pull the spark plugs out of it, see what they look like. 25 of y'all. Hey, what's up? There's a bunch of y'all up in here now. Shit. All right. Check a few different things. I'm going to want that faceplate off to tune the carb. I'll show you how we do that. It's a Kean CV, I believe 40 millimeter CV. CV stands for constant velocity. Those of y'all who may or may not know what I'm talking about, we're going to take it as, you know, you're new to all this and you don't necessarily know. What happens with a constant velocity carburetor? Okay, I've got quite a few carburetor videos, and that's the deal. I deal with older bikes. I don't really deal with fuel-injected bikes. So, constant velocity carburetor works on a pretty simple principle. You see right here, this little duct. When air rushes through here, puts pressure here, and on top of this carburetor, there's a diaphragm and a spring. Well, the slide right here, this is controlled by that air pressure. So when that air rushes through, it forces against that diaphragm, forces the diaphragm against the spring. This opens up to give the bike more air and subsequently more fuel. Whereas there's a butterfly behind it that when you turn the throttle, you're opening and closing that butterfly. But the actual throttle, the actual fuel air supply is controlled by the vacuum going through here. Unlike an S&S Super E, whereas you just have a butterfly valve and you have a stronger accelerator pump right here. When you crack this, you open the valve, it draws fuel out the carburetor, and as you crack it, you'll get a little spray out of this guy right here, which we should have had here, but I didn't see any. And I'm wondering, you know what, let me get a little magnetic tray. I'm wondering, could that be because the vacuum petcock has taken a shite and not allowing enough fuel to get the mixture right, to get the machine to run right? Really not a big fan of how they do that. Hey, what's up, Larry? What's up, Christina? Not a big fan of how they do that. I know why they do it. I like it, and I don't. It's a good deal because if you crash your bike and your bike's still running, okay, it's laying on its side running. It could be pissing fuel out. That engine's still running. That could cause a fire. A vacuum petcock, once your engine cuts out, there's no vacuum drawing on the valve on the back of the petcock. Therefore, your engine gets no fuel. Your engine ain't going to run. So it's a good safety feature, but it's a little teeny tiny diaphragm in there, and a lot of times they go south. Being from 1997, it's going to be a rubber diaphragm. Those of y'all who know, ethanol, corn juice that's in the freaking gasoline we use nowadays, that eats the shit out of rubber bad. So I had a bike at one point, I think it was a 93 Kawasaki 750 that had that setup. And if you let it sit with gasoline in it for 2 weeks, this is right around maybe 05 when they first started this ethanol gas shite. You let it sit for 2 weeks with gas in it, that little valve would get ate up and the bike would run like shite. I mean, bad. Because it would allow the gasoline to dump into the carburetor at a higher rate than it should have. Kawasaki's genius freaking setup. And it wouldn't be enough to overflow and spill out the overflow valve, but it was enough that it would gas foul the rear cylinder. So if you sat there and revved it up and built enough vacuum, that little valve would run. So under hard acceleration, bike ran great. At idle, and gasoline fouled the rear cylinder. Pain in my behind. I used to carry 2 of them little valves with me. Only 4 screws that held it together. And they were only, I think, $1.25 a piece. I'm dating myself here. If you guys from the Pittsburgh area remember Norm's Cycles down in Homestead, I used to go there to get parts. This is before you could just clickety-clack on your phone and have it shipped to your door. I always go to Norm's to get my parts and grab a couple of them every time I was down there. It's entirely too quiet up in here, man. Whoever's texting me, I am live right now. Sorry, you're going to have to wait. Okay. There's breathers. And this setup would get changed if we do switch to Super E. Basically, bike breathes from up here, okay? Crankcase pressure. So any gases that come out of the crankcase from blow by are going to come out here, get sucked up into the intake and recirculated through the bike. I don't like that setup. We're not going to do that. When it's all said and done, we'll probably have your standard S&S teardrop intake here, or excuse me, air cleaner here, and we'll probably run a couple of braided steel lines down to the ground, which will cause a little drip of oil every time you park it, but so what? I want the engine to breathe, and I don't want it breathing in what it breathes out. And I'll bet you this son of a gun is going to be really hard to reach the idle mixture screw. Because it's way up back in behind here. Oh, look at here, Ghost. Ghost, buddy. See how loose that carpetator is? That seal is no good on there, man. Yep. That seal is definitely no good. All right, so we're definitely going to do intake seals for the $10 it's going to cost. Because that should be held a lot tighter than that. Yeah, I could feel it. That seal has seen its better days. I was worried about that. Okay. So we know first thing on the agenda We're going to do a carburetor seal kit. Replace this seal here, and we got to take the intake off. We're going to replace those seals just for good measure. Pain in the ass, but you know what? For 15 bucks, we can do that and pretty much guarantee no issues in the future, which is what we want, because I have not decided, I should say you guys have not decided what we are doing with this machine. I put a poll up on my channel for you guys to kind of make the decision for me. Whether or not I'm going to keep this bike, sell this bike, turn it into a hardtail chopper, put a 1200 top end and a set of cams and a Super E and turn it into a little road burner, or what I'm going to do, I don't know. But I acquired this machine, and yeah, she's mine now, so I am going to let my viewers decide what happens to it. Get that seal in there a little better. That isn't quite on all the way. That's could have most likely been part of the problem, but I still feel like I do want to replace the actual intake seals. I feel like they need to be replaced. Alright, I'll get her seated in a little better. And there's another thing. In stock configuration, you gotta have just a drop of RTV silicone on these breeders. So for poops and giggles, we're going to do that. Can I comfortably reach the idle mixture screw with my idle mixture screw tool? Because if I cannot, we will go ahead and we'll set that. What do we got here? Clip-ons, low pro seat. I always thought a Cafe Sporty would be cool. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. If enough people vote on that poll of mine, if enough people vote for that, I guess I've got to do it, right? But yeah, no. I am like the anti-Cafe Racer guy. I feel like it's the quick, easy way to, you know, hack up a bike and make something different without really doing anything custom. Some people absolutely love the style. I don't hate it. I also don't like it. The cool thing about a Sportster Cafe Racer is it would be somewhat period correct. Oh, let me get my pilot screw tool. It would be somewhat period correct because back in the day, if y'all don't know what a Cafe Racer actually is, you got to roll back to Great Britain in the mid 50s or so, all the way up into the 60s. You had the mods and the rockers. The mods, they dressed in like nice looking suits and ties and shit, and they rode scooters. The rockers were dirty bikers like me that wore leather jackets, jeans, and boots. And the rockers rode mainly British bikes, Triumph Bonnevilles, Nortons, you know, Vincents. If you had a lot of money, you had a Vincent. I didn't really have bars all like that. They had pubs, but it wasn't like the biker scene here where guys ride to the bar and, you know, get hammered and do their thing. There, you went to a cafe and drank coffee. And what they would do is they'd time themselves, drop a nickel in a jukebox, play a song, and you have a set destination. And the guys would race to that destination, back to the cafe and try to do that before the song was up. It was usually one cafe to the next type of thing. Can I reach this screw? Good. Beautiful. Okay, we can most definitely reach the pilot screw. These are indispensable for forward carburetors. All it is a, you see here, flat bladed screwdriver. Okay, there's a cable in there, and you can tweak your screw back and forth. Nice and easy from here, because obviously your exhaust is hot. You can't really jam your hand up under there. It's just not going to work out well for you type shit. We definitely are going to want to put a little more idle into this. And I think I'm going to be honest with you, off the top of my head, I don't exactly know where to set the idle screw on a Kean 40 millimeter CV. I know where to set it on an S&S Super E, because, well, that's what's on my Super Glide, and that's the carburetor I set up all the time. And I suppose that I could Google it, but then again, you guys are watching me live. And I know we got virtually no idle, so what I'm going to do is just bump the idle up just a tick before we even put the air cleaner back on and put her back together. Just a little bumpity bump. Let's see, which way is this? Okay, so tightening. Let's give it just let's give it a quarter turn, and then we'll go from there, because once this air cleaner is on, it is going to be a devil to get to that little screw. How's you guys' New Year's, man? Was 2025 a bitch or what? 2025 was pretty cool for me, man. I worked really hard. I saved my money. I fixed lots of motorcycles. Got in a motorcycle accident because some dummy decided to run a red light and broadside me. But like all things, that worked out really good for me. And as you know, what we do here, we make these dead motorcycles rise from the ashes and ride. And well, that was a motorcycle that we had virtually no money into. And we got it up and running, and it was going to be the beater bike, the one I ride back and forth to work and ride in the winter and stuff, because she was a little bit scratched up and a little bit ugly. It was a Yamaha Royal Star. Kind of a badass machine, if I do say so myself. I like the Royal Star series. But sadly, an idiot in a cage decided to blow that there red light, and well, here we are. The rest is history. We were already looking for houses at the time, and I had a good bit of money stacked up for a down payment. And I didn't want to buy another bike. I was kind of pissed. I had my Super Glide. I had my Royal Star. And that's just how we were going to roll. I'd sold off my GL 1500 Gold Wing. My GL 1200 Gold Wing I gave away in a YouTube contest. Not going to be too many of them on here, and I was feeling generous with that one. Pardon me, I can only... But that bike was a project bike. 75% of it was done. It went to a viewer. And I basically, if you don't know, I'm on Facebook. I don't give it out too often on here, but you can find my Facebook group, Phoenix Motorsports Inside Circle. Okay, that's for the cool ones who ain't trolls and ain't assholes. That's how you can contact me. Phoenix Motorsports Inside Circle. When we did that giveaway contest, basically I made a video and I say, hey, look, man, let me know what you're working on. Show me some projects. If you think you can finish this bike, make it rise from the ashes and ride again, I'll give it to you. And I'll give you a parts bike and everything I got for a GL 1200 Goldwing. Man who won it, my man CJ, had, I believe it was a 79 GL 1100. Then he basically took the parts, man, and got her up and running and enjoyed it. And that won my heart because it was a Goldwing. And he's got my GL 1200 and a 1200 parts bike to go with it. And that's his rider. Winter times here. Homeboys like me, he got a day job, works his butt off, works hard, takes care of his family. Bike's not finished yet. He just had too much overtime over the summer. But it's this time of year, things slow down a little bit for everybody, and that's when we spend time at our garage working on bikes. All right. Let's give her another little go round with the air cleaner off. Okay, fill it back on. See how she likes it now. There you have it. Really don't think I got a fool with the air fuel mixture. Number one, I'm burning the hell out of my hand trying to get to it. Hey, what's up, Ghost? Yeah, Ghost, buddy. We just had to get the carburetor sealed up a little better, man. That's what's up. I think she's much happier now. Fresh set of spark plugs. It sat in a warm garage overnight. Time we got here. All right, about 15 minutes, and I got to put my doggy outside. Poor little girl. Mrs. Phoenix Motorsports is working the evening shift today, so she's not here. And Miss Tula, my rescue pit bull, is up in the house by herself, wondering why there's no one in there. She was last put outside to pee at 12:30. Then about 4:30, no later than 5, she's going to need to go outside and do her business. But that's where we're at, folks. We got a good running motorcycle. As of now, we got a few other things to check on, but as of now, I'd say she's running pretty good. Carburetor wasn't quite sealed. Needed a little dibby dib of silicone on the breather connectors. We did that. We straightened the seal out and got her on there straight. And bumped the idle up just a ticky tack. I didn't really mess with the fuel and air screw. This bike was running good and was riding, so I really don't think it needed messed with. Once she cools down, because it was idling without choke, so once she cools down the rest of the way, I will pull the spark plugs out of her. And we will see what it looks like. Whoever is messaging me on Facebook, I love you guys, right on, but I can't check it right now because I am live, okay? I will get to you when I can get to you. Let's pop our air cleaner back on. Oh, of course it's across the room. Oh, my poor knees. This is not the right washer for this. Do I have one laying here? I do. Okay, good. So we've got a decent running 883 Sportster. Only 6 likes. Come on, y'all. You can do better than that. Well, there's only 4 of you watching. Right on. I appreciate you, though, man. I love you guys. That's the reason why I do this. Just want to show folks that, man, look, you don't have to have a fancy shop like I do. You don't have to have the best tools in the world, man. I used to fix bikes out of a freaking apartment, man. I brought back to life my old Honda CL 350, my very first motorcycle. I sold it to a buddy of mine because, you know, I had my CB 750. I'm dating myself here. But it was a single overhead cam. One of the beautiful CB 750s that are very sought after nowadays. If I knew how cool that bike was, but you know, 1997, 98, I was a 17, 18-year-old kid, and I really wanted one of these bad. This year, too, 97. I really wanted a Sportster. But I couldn't afford nothing but this beat-up old Honda 750, and I bought it off of a mechanic who worked for National Cycle Works. He's still with us, man. Al, I know you don't do internet. Al, you got to be probably 85 by now. And I heard you still stop in every now and again, and sometimes you even showed up to cut the grass. Dude, you are one of my inspirations for doing this, man. Coolest old dude. You know, when you're 17, like 60, 50, late 50s, early 60s, that's an old dude when you're 17, right? But I bought his CB 750, and that thing ran like a scalded cat. When I was maybe 21, I tore the engine down because when I was 18, I decided I wanted drag pipes, so I couldn't afford them, so I hacksawed them off. And I parked it over the winter and didn't stuff oily rags under it, just in the pipes, you know, just parked it outside. And, Yeah, it flash rusted the cylinders, locked the motor up. I tore that engine down, and I know why that bike ran. I don't know who did the porting work on that head, but who did they hog it out? And we're talking a 1970s job when you couldn't just really necessarily buy. Like, I could buy heads for this bike, bigger valves, bigger pistons, race cams. I could buy all that shit right out of, not even a catalog, right off my phone. Back then, you had to order your shit from a catalog, and there just wasn't that much shit out there. But Al knew his shit, and he made that bike scream. And, you know, like an idiot kid, I tore it down. And, well, I got a line on another engine that bolted right in. And I built a hardtail chopper out of that bike. And thank God I never got to ride it, because I learned to weld on that bike. It had eventually gotten stolen, which is a complete bummer. And I hope my welds did not hold if they ever tried to ride it. I mean, I had a suicide jockey shift on it with a clutch perch, so you could clutch and shift. But then when you pulled out, it would have been a capture. It looked really badass. 6-over front end. Like I said, I made my own little hardtail setup in the rear. And I never got to finish that bike. I never got to ride it. It ended up getting stolen. And it's killing me, because I would love to have a single cam CB750. Unfortunately, a riding one's going to run you about $5,000. You're going to have to do a lot of work to it. So I did the next best thing. Back then, this is what I wanted. And I have owned Sportsters before, never an 883. I had a 1200. I've ridden a newer, I want to say 2020 883 iron. Just somebody that was afraid to ride it on the highway. It was their first bike. They took it to a bike shop to get service done, and they were afraid to ride it home because you had to ride it on the highway. So I rode it home for them. And yeah, 883 ain't really where it's at. It's a good starter bike, but I do think if I keep this, the only way this engine is going to stay stock is if I do a radical hardtail chopper. You're not going to ride one of them very far, and you don't want to go fast on one. So a stock 883 would be fine for that. If I leave it in the configuration it is, and this is what I am really leaning towards doing, I want to showcase my skills. I want to build this motor. Take you guys along for the ride. And I'm thinking, I've done a lot of research with the stock 883 heads. Really only go to about 1200 with it. They make a 1250 and a 1275 kit. The problem with that is the configuration of the heads on an 883. Number one, they're smaller valves. Okay, so it's not going to take advantage of the bigger bore. And the valve train geometry is such that if you put bigger valves along with a more radical cam, what you're going to end up doing is them valves are going to kiss each other. It's just not feasible. So that would lead me to eBay to find a used set of 1200 heads. They'll bolt right on. I found a couple. Guys know what they're worth. They're asking $1,000 for something that, until Hammer Performance came out, would have normally just been, discarded because nobody wanted a Sportster. Buell, I think it's XB11 or XB12 Lightning heads would be what I would want. They're hard to come by. You see them on eBay, they sell like that. You see them cheap on eBay, they sell before you can bid. In that configuration, you're going to build crazy top end power for running down the drag strip, running wide open and high RPM, taking advantage and using the full flow of them heads. Yes, the air cleaner is hideous. I definitely agree. But that's not what I really want to do. I like my Harley to be extremely torquey. I like to blast around town, short shift, make all kind of noise, and have fun. So I think if we do the motor, we're going to go with the S&S 1200 Hooligan kit. It's a mild cam. I think it's a 482 thousandth lift cam. There's really not much overlap. There is a little more duration, and it should build really good low end power. Now, if we use 883 heads, we're going to have a large squish area. Some of y'all who don't know what I'm talking about, maybe you're lost in the weeds. I wish I had my whiteboard set up to show you guys what squish area is. Okay. Basically, set up an engine that's going to pull super hard from 2,500 to 4,000 RPMs, which is what this beauty is. My Dyna. We got a mild cam, we got 10-to-1 pistons, and we got a Super E, and we got drag pipes. This bike does not necessarily scream on the top end. Can I make it scream? Yes, we have to retune it and put a 2-into-1. I dig it with the low end torque and power. It's more fun in the city. It does what you need it to do, and it feels great. It's also going to be a little easier on the engine to not bounce off the freaking rev limiter every time you want to build some power. You know what I'm saying? That's easier on the engine. So I feel like if we're going to go that route, that's probably what we're going to do with this. And let's be honest, it's going to be $1,000 cheaper to go with just a 1200 kit and a set of cams. And Hammer Performance has been around a while. Guys are liking what they're doing. They're working out well, but look, man, I'm an S&S fan. So I got to choose between Hammer and S&S. I think I'm going to go with S&S, but I feel like that's what this bike needs. They call it the Hooligan Kit, 482 cams, or 408. I forget the exact number, but the lift is 482,000. And we can keep the CV carburetor, which will save some money there, because an intake and an S&S carburetor, man, dude, if you buy it brand new, which I probably won't, I'll find a used one on eBay. Some idiot that puts a Mikuni on their bike instead of an S&S. Can you tell I'm biased? We buy a brand new S&S carburetor. That's, $450 to $600. The intake brand new would be about $200. That's $800 right there. So I'm thinking for like $1,500, we can have a nice little screamer. All right, so this will give you an idea the size difference between the two machines. Of the little XLH 883 versus a Dyna. And as you can see, the Dyna is not that much bigger. It's really not. We come over here and check out my Electroglide. It's like a big old elephant compared to both. Okay. So like when, I got into the history of the Sportster, when the Sportster come out, when you wanted a Harley, this is what you got, a giant touring bike. You know what I'm saying? Great for running down a highway, not so great for ripping around on a dirt track, which is what the Sportster was initially designed to do. Hey, there's 10 of you in there. We got 7 likes. Can I get 10? Everybody in there, can you like? More Motorcycle Mania coming your way if you subscribe, too. By the way, it'll notify you when I'm live online here doing this. I don't know if my Dyna is going to start. I haven't run it in maybe a month. Battery may be dead. But let's see if the old girl will crank up for me. Oh, she's angry. Battery ain't got enough juice. I don't keep this one plugged in on a tender. We'll try her one more time. I don't ride this bike very much at all. I put 500 miles on it last year. she'll run. She's pissed off. There ain't enough juice in the battery. That's what happens when you leave them sit too long without a battery tender. Bummer. Want to hear that bike run. I wouldn't spend all that on that 883 you don't have any connection with. I'd make it nice and then make it someone's first bike. Well, I could definitely respect that, junk mail. I definitely could. I don't know. I mean, all she really needs is cleaned up and gone through. I do want to open the primary and have a look-see at the primary chain. But I like the idea of a sleeper bike. And as you can see, I'm a big dude. I'm like 5'11", 275. I'm a large man. I'm a big dude for a sporty. But the idea of just keep the 883 badges and throw like 1,500 at the bike and crank it from its 45 horsepower to 75, 80, make a little sleeper, that might be fun. I don't know. All depends. Like I said, we're kicking around ideas. In a way, I kind of have a connection and I don't. Like when I was 17, maybe 18, you know, I went to a Harley dealership and I sat on one of these and I wanted it so bad, you know, and now you see I've got a collection of Harleys, but it's one of them things. Like, why do grown men buy them little Honda monkey bikes and restore them, you know? Because they didn't get one when they were a kid. They got a mini bike, and they're a grown-ass man. They can afford it. So, I'm not exactly sure. And it depends on my one buddy. Tax return time hits. He ain't really got the scratch right now, but tax return time hits. I already told him. If he was looking at Sportsters, he needs a small bike. He needs to learn to ride. He'll be able to afford it then, and I think I may let it go for what I have into it, and that's wouldn't be building the engine or anything. That'll just be going through the machine. You know, we'll do a 3-hole oil change, and we'll go from there. You know, whatever it may need to pass inspection. And just to do that for a brother, put him on his first bike cheap, and he's not a very big fella. This will be more than enough in stock for him to learn to ride on. It's New Year's Eve, 4:30. We already know you need the battery on trickle charge. What is the battery status like on the electric glide? I wonder if the electric glide will fire up. That's the beauty of fuel injection. Gotta love fuel injection for that. I hate working on fuel injection, but that's the beauty of fuel injection in a stock bike. That's all you do is hit the button and she fires. What's up, Austin? What's up, Ron? So yeah, this is where we're at with the little 883. It's killing me. I know the battery is too low on this. I gotta try it one more time. I'd love to hear this run on New Year's Eve. Damn it, they put the key in the most awkward position on this. Nope, there ain't enough battery. You gotta put her on trickle charge. I ain't killing the battery. But yeah, that's what's up. It is 4:30 now, so I guess I gotta go put my doggy outside, let her do her business. We have been live for an hour. We're going to cut the live off and finish making the 883 wrap up the little video. I thank you guys for watching. You do me a favor, treat that like and subscribe button like it owes you money. Smash it for me, will you? I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching.